Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother Podcast, a multi-generational discussion of movies. I'm Ralph Quartucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy, and this is my wife, Debbie.
I'm Michelle WoJo Wojciechowski, and we're in the kitchen.
And I'm John Quartucci, Ralph's younger brother.
Younger Quartucci.
Younger Gen X brother?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If I'm Gen X, he's practically millennial. We did lose our one millennial. Hassan couldn't make it tonight, and Al,
the other one couldn't figure out the technology.
That's right. Al, his camera, for some reason, Oregon Trail, Al just couldn't figure out our technology. So that's fine. We'll keep going. Now, one thing I want to remind everybody is we're now on YouTube with our show because of the Zoom and the pandemic. So if we can get any subscribers to subscribe or hit a like or whatever you got to do, let's do it. And maybe down the road, we'll consider if somebody really likes us or has a comment, we might bring them on the show.
Or give us a suggestion for a movie to watch.
If they have a movie they want us, right? Yeah. If they have a movie they like or don't like, bring it on. We'll defend it or just we'll whatever we do on this show. So today's show, my brother John has brought the movie that we're going to discuss. So John will give us a little synopsis. First, he'll give us the name of the movie and then a slight synopsis, and then we'll dive right into it and see what goes on. There will be no Roger Ebert review because he didn't review this movie. Came out, well, John, what year did this movie come out?
1951.
All right, take it away.
Okay, so my movie I picked last week was the original movie, The Thing, or The Thing from Another World. So this movie came out in 1951. It was one of the adult sci-fi movies that came out. And the whole storyline is, if you've seen the remake with Kurt Russell, it's kind of the same storyline, just a much different movie. So they find they find a saucer in the North Pole, a frozen spaceship, and a passenger in the spaceship. They blow up the spaceship. They find the body. They bring it back. It thaws out serendipitously, and then it wreaks havoc upon the entire group till the heroes prevail at the end. And the reason why I picked this movie, when I asked last week, do you want something obscure or do you want a classic? This is a classic sci-fi movie. In fact, the year it came out, it actually did better than what a lot of people call a classic sci-fi, The Day the Earth Stood Still. It actually made more money than that and did quite well. It was directed by Christian Nyby. But it was really directed by Howard Hawks. And if you
Christian Nyby was Howard Hawks' editor.
Editor, yes. And if you watch the movie, it's definitely got the Howard Hawks flavor. And the thing that I like about it...
stop for a second.
Yeah.
I need to know what the Howard Hawks flavor is.
Well, a couple of things. One, pro-military, very heroic people, but the biggest telltale of his movies, the overlapping dialogue. And that's something that he does in all his movies because he wants as natural as could be. And this movie has a ton of it. So that the characters are really important, not the sci-fi part of it. Because if you know his background, he did Sergeant York, Red River. His background isn't sci-fi. In fact, this was the only sci-fi film he ever did. But he thought of it not as a scary monster movie, but as a character-driven story that happened to have the alien in it. And a couple of things about the alien and why I love this movie. Now, some people think it's boring, but the way they build up tension throughout the entire movie without actually seeing the alien is what I think makes it so good. Because one thing that happened was the makeup on the alien is pretty awful, and Howard Hawks knew it.
No, really?
And as a result of that, they deleted a lot of shots, a lot of close-ups, because he hated the way it looked. But that added to it because in Jaws, what made that movie so great was you almost never saw the shark. Well, I think that helped in this movie. They constantly talked about the alien, but you never saw it. The other thing I like, if you look at this movie and the way it goes on, there we go. Yeah, that's the color version. That's excellent. But it didn't, in the close-ups, it didn't look that good, believe me. I saw the pictures of them. It didn't look that good. But if you look at this movie, and I'm going to look at Alien and look at Aliens, and look at how those films are structured, and they're based on this. And I'll give you a prime example. Remember the trackers and aliens that they
Right.
use that creates that's the detectors that they use in this
I
movie.
I saw that same thing.
All the characters working together. It reminded me of those so much. And frankly, John Carpenter, Joe Dante, all talk about this movie as the reason they got into movies. My standard for why I love a movie, if it comes on, will I watch it? This is a movie. When it comes on, I always watch it. So that's why I love it.
Can I ask you a question? Do you stay awake through the whole movie?
The whole movie.
Wow. Okay.
Because my background is not behind the camera. It's acting. And this movie, I love it was not everybody, but like the professor, the mad scientist who really didn't play it as a mad scientist. You know, that actor was in his mid-20s when he made that.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't come across that way, right? So to me, the acting was really good. They worked well together. There was no superstars in it. I love that. I love the camaraderie in the movie. And, you know, that's why I love this movie.
Okay. Interesting. We'll table that, Sean.
Well, I just want to say that it was a science fiction film by people who didn't make science fiction films, and we got to look at the right. You know, well, Howard Hawks. I think no one's going to dispute that Howard Hawks was the man behind the scenes. You know, and it's very much his style, including the overlapping dialogue, the guy banter. He did a lot of really masculine films with guys. You know, not in Peck and Polish, where women were either not in it or just constantly abused, raped or something. But you know, it's very much his style. You look at like Charles Lehrer, who was you know, an Algonquin Round Table writer. You know, he wrote stuff with Ben Hecht, who may be the greatest screenwriter of all time. You know, he was a niece of Marion Davies too, who was the rosebud of William Randolph Hearst. I mean, he wrote Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I mean, this was a departure, and that's one of the things I liked about studio period. In this case, probably late studio period. I think this is probably independent though, but is that people, you know, you got assignments, you got a chance to work on stuff. Now everybody's so typecast. So it was good to see these kind of people. I mean, it's kind of weak on the big star leads, obviously. They didn't go with a big lead, but a lot of familiar character actors, particularly the guy who plays Scotty, the reporter.
Yeah.
I think he played a reporter in every film in the 30s, late 30s, 40s, early 50s.
But he was in Shane, too.
Yeah, he was in Shane. I mean, he was all over the place. I liked the doctor. I liked the there was a tall scientist who was always siding with the military. And this is another thing they don't do anymore in this day is a lot of people had different faces. You know, I think my wife thought there were too many characters, but to me they were all distinct because they had like very different faces. You know.
Well, you didn't even mention the main star of the movie.
I'm just talking about the things I enjoy. I mean, enjoyed. To me, it's obvious that I would like this movie. I did a series of blogs about my 10 favorite horror films of each decade, and of 1950s, this was number 3 on the list.
What was number 1 for you?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And number 2, the more controversial choice, Curse of the Demon.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one, shot in England. Yeah. And
what was 10? Just quick.
I can't remember them all.
Come on. All right.
Yeah.
But this was number 3. This was 3.
This was 3 in the 50s.
Wow. Okay.
You know, it was I thought the banter was great. I thought it brought up some good ideas. You know, what do we expect? I mean, the whole, you know, science. You know, is it worth stuff? You know, or should we die in order to gain knowledge? You know, so that's why I brought my scientist wife with me.
That's the whole the you talk about the 20-year-old scientist. That was his whole thing.
No, the older guy. The older guy who must have had a problem remembering his lines, because anytime he had a speech to do, he'd have someone read his notes.
That's
know.
right. That's right. That's right.
Read my.
He used
read
to
him my
rub. We would rub his
Oh,
nose.
is that a Howard Hawks thing, or that was his
Yeah,
thing?
no. Most characters in Howard Hawks films don't read.
Okay.
But no, but if you notice, he does that like 3 or 4 times. In
Yes,
the movie.
he did the whole movie.
Yeah.
He was emoting exhaustion.
All right. Okay.
And wait a minute, I would say it
Okay.
would be misogynistic because, like, but he does give his notebook to guys to read too. So
Right.
it isn't totally.
Well, he had the woman, his secretary. Was she also a scientist?
No, she was his assistant.
Okay.
She wasn't a secretary.
There's a whole nother side angle with the tying up the guy's
Yeah,
arms. And
well,
all. Okay.
he wasn't an
Okay.
administrative assistant.
Okay.
She could have
Okay.
been a scientist as well as an assistant.
Yeah,
But they called her.
Why are you
Yeah, but
pushing
she-
roles on her?
Yeah.
Didn't they call her the pinup girl?
Well,
Well, look at the competition.
Well, when they were talking about going to go, you're going to go see the pinup girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more? Because I can't wait
loved
to hear
this
WoJo.
film
Oh,
because
Debbie?
I loved it because of the, what you were saying. The dialogue was that they were walking all over each other, and it was so quick. The jokes were there; they were zinging left and right. But you had to really pay attention. I'd love to see it again because there was so much to it. When you caught one, you want to go back and say, "Well, what else did I miss?" But the depiction of the female roles was just perfect. The way the power struggles that went. First it was the colonel or whatever, the military guy who had the power. Then it was the scientist. Then it was somebody overriding him on the phone or what they used. And it was just amazing how, and then the female role, the one there was a romantic situation going on, and she tied him up for crying out loud.
Well, he told her to tie him
Whew.
up.
No, he said she would. I thought she was not going
He
to
was
see
all
him.
hands.
No,
The
he
reason why
said,
she tied him up-
if you want me to go have a drink, you better tie me up. And she said, okay, I'll tie. By the way, there were 2 female
Right.
roles.
The pin-up and the not pin-up.
Well, the doctor who suddenly came out, and I don't know where. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, all of a sudden she's boom.
Yep.
There
So,
she is.
long hair, and
She was in the first
scene.
scene. She was in the first scene when they walked in the cafeteria.
Maybe. Okay.
So
I'm
that's
sorry,
wrong.
Debbie. Debbie, keep going. I'm sorry. Don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, that it was great to see. That's what I'm saying. Some of the roles were duplicated in
Right.
the piece. There was a lot, but Sean said it was about 20 people in there.
Yeah.
It was a
People-
great film for B actors, for supporting
Yeah.
actors who suddenly get more of a moment to shine.
Well, I got to admit, I'm a little like with Debbie. There were so many characters I could not keep track of who was who at some point. I know a couple of them got hung and got the creature hung them upside down and drained them of blood, but we never saw. I don't know who those 2 were.
They filmed those. They filmed those scenes.
Yeah, well, they should have put it in. There was a
No,
guy that.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I love the plasma too. The
Yeah.
scientific evidence of their,
You mean
That
with
scene was really good.
the little plants, the
Yeah.
little whatever those were?
as well as very interesting because they would go after the people to further their what they were going to do there.
Now, okay.
It's perfect, and they were growing on the plasma. It was just exciting.
Yeah.
Really today it's still going on.
My wife loves plasma.
Plasma's very exciting.
Only
I
'cause
went to get
all my
a.
life, but it's
Yeah.
just all the uses for blood and their byproducts, the plasma, the platelets.
I went to get an antibody test to say today to see if my plasma could be,
Did you
I
have
could
it?
save the world. I took the test. I'm going to find out in a couple days.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
Did you
'Cause
think
I
you had the COVID?
I think I had it in early February. So
Hmm.
my blood may save some people. We don't know.
Yeah.
Or not. Or not. All right, WoJo. Okay, WoJo and I are going to play the millennials today.
WoJo loved this movie.
I hated this movie. I could not stand this movie. And it's not that I don't like old movies, and it's not that I don't like sci-fi movies. Well, of course I make my husband watch it with me, because if I have to go through hell, then he gets to join me.
Did you,
My wife puts me through hell too.
but did you know it was hell before you started?
Huh?
Did you know it was hell before you started?
No.
Okay.
No. I knew nothing about the specific movie. I haven't seen the remakes either.
Hmm.
So,
So this is the first time you ever saw this?
yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I think there were parts of the movie that back then, I'm sure, were blowing people away. You know, when they electrocuted the monster at the end, I'm sure that people were like, whoa, this is, you know, how we would be when we saw, you know, Forrest Gump or Jurassic Park, where they first used the CGI kind of stuff. You know, I think that it probably had that same effect on them, but it's just funny to watch how they talk. Hey, I came in here and then I went over there. And Brad said, did people talk like that back then? I said, no, just in movies. You know, because I can't imagine my grandparents saying, hey, Teresa, when's dinner coming on? Well, I'll tell you. You know,
Maybe if she'd been in the Army. Air Force.
I did notice what John said about all the people talking over one another. And while you saw that as a great thing, that really annoyed the crap out of me. I mean, because look, you guys have me on here for my opinion, and
we love it. That's why you're here.
Well, and there were times where, you know, I had to rewind it because I was like, okay, I heard part of what this guy said, and I heard part of what that guy said, and now I have to rewind this movie from hell, which I don't like, because I have to.
Can I ask, did you see the director's cut or the original version? You want to make sure you saw the right one.
Smart Alec. I saw that. No, that I saw the right.
I think there's only one.
It just didn't, because I have read a couple things about it beforehand, and honestly, it did say, you know, we'll keep you on the edge of your seat, and probably because of where we've come from movies, it didn't keep me on the edge of my seat. If I viewed it as a completely different thing, you know, it reminds me of, I have read a review of August Osage County, and it said, rollicking good fun. Well, here's the thing. Whoever wrote that had seen the play, which was completely different than the movie. So I watched the movie and I'm thinking, this is not rollicking good fun. If one more bad thing happens on here, you know?
You know, it's funny because I didn't see the film. I saw that trailer and it didn't look like there was anything fun in it. That's right.
Exactly. The reason I watched it is it was one of the SAG movies up for an award. So I watched it to watch the SAG movie. And as soon as it was over, I broke the DVD up and threw it away. So, but they tell you to do that anyway. But yeah. I don't know. I couldn't get into this. I understand where you're all coming from. Who like, and there.
I think the thing is in your house.
Yeah.
Taking the dog. I think these are the dog.
And I see what you mean, John. I mean, the thing itself was not. It just, you know, it wasn't done well, but when they did the electrical stuff to kill it, right, that brought it up a notch.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I can watch movies and see them, you know, almost as, okay, me now seeing it, I didn't care for it. People back then probably were like, oh my God, it's so scary. And oh, did you see what they did? It was so electrifying. But I just didn't care for it.
It wasn't as good as The Haunting.
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
Oh, sorry, that episode's not out yet.
No, that's still in the vault. All right, my turn.
With the counselor.
I completely agree with WoJo on this one, which we never do.
We never do.
My problem with this film is I did not watch it with my 1951 eyes or my 10-year-old eyes. I remember seeing this as a kid, being freaked out by what was going on.
Oh, you saw this as a kid, but
yeah,
you're an Xer.
Yeah. As a kid, 12 years ago. So I cannot throw away all the years of cinema that I've watched and look at this movie and go, oh my God, this is a classic. I just don't see it. Now, someone needs to explain. I asked John earlier, Sean, I'm going to ask you, or whoever wants to answer, a Howard Hawks production. Okay, back up a step. I did notice the overlapping dialogue. It's the one thing that made me go, okay, there's some realism going on here because they're overlapping the stuff. Scotty, the reporter, was the thread through the whole thing, right? He was the guy that was the brave. He's the only guy that fainted through the whole thing, right? The guy who's been in war and shot everything. He's the one guy that passes out. He never got a picture of the thing. If you notice, someone was either in the way or whatever. I like that realism, okay? But let's talk about the female characters. The one female character that actually said anything. There was another one that was a doctor or something. I don't know.
She had a line of dialogue, the other
A
one.
little bit, but the female character was equal to the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was right there and equal.
She was
and
funky.
she was funky, and she was
Oh, I
Not
hate
funky, spunky.
giving the main guy, you know, she tied him up. She, you know, they had him tied up and she's feeding him drinks and all that. But it's like, what is that in there for? Was she?
You need that. You need the love
it was
interest.
A power struggle.
You know what? We don't want to talk about the 1982 version of The Thing, but there was not a woman anywhere near The Thing in that movie. The Thing. I don't mean to say that, but there's not a woman in that movie. And there was tension from the minute that movie started to the minute it ended. Okay. And it was such a fake force. Like at the end, they're all and through the whole crisis. So they had the Thing stuck in that greenhouse or whatever. And he keeps the hero of the story, the pilot.
Kenneth Tobey.
Okay.
Captain.
The captain. In the middle of all this stuff, he and the girl are like hanging out, drinking drinks and drinking coffee and talking
I
about
know.
getting married.
They
And,
had a
Talking
different
about when they
priority
got
back
together
then.
the last time and
yeah, it was like, it's completely.
doing live sexual innuendo jokes for that time.
And every time he'd tell her to just stay out of this thing, she'd keep right. She'd bring in coffee while they're ready to electrocute the guy. She's trying to hand out coffee to him.
Wait a minute. She was holding the cushion when he ran in there.
The fire. No, the
Come
fire.
on.
That was when they tried to burn
Yeah.
him.
That
Yeah.
was not
Okay.
in the background.
Back up.
That's a
My-
Howard Hawks thing. by the
My
way.
2020 eyes, I don't literally see 2020, but my year 2020 eyes, I look back at this movie and I'm like, those people, right, exactly.
This is always
Coffee.
Debbie
Bobby.
considers coffee foreplay, just like the girl in the movie.
Okay, well, there you go. You two, no wonder you love. Now I'm going to make your video black and white. I think I can do that. I guess back in 1951, people were paranoid, Cold War, maybe.
Yeah.
So the end when Scotty does that line about look up to
Watch
the
the
skies,
skies.
watch the skies. That was
A
the big,
classic sci-fi line, maybe one of the most famous lines.
I'm not gonna lie. I fell asleep. I had to back up
Were
because
you
I wanted to
driving
see
watching this?
the scene I missed. I said I must have missed it when he flipped the guys upside down and gutted them. Well, they said that they flipped them upside down and gutted them. We never saw that. Okay.
No.
Not to mention,
Well, but it was probably made in 50.
I'm just
It was made in
but
51.
also the way the ice melted. The guy put the warming blanket on because he didn't want to look at his eyes.
Right.
Right. And it melted within.
But he had the hat with the earmuffs on. He couldn't hear it.
Couldn't hear it. I understand.
Yeah.
Look, I guess back in 1951, this must have been a terror. Had to have been.
Well, look, this was after Hiroshima.
Okay.
Communism was big.
Okay.
So people were terrified of scientists. They were very skeptical of scientists, which this movie was. They're scared of communism. And this is based on Who Goes There, the book. And that's all about the first 6 chapters are like this movie, but it's more like the 82 version. It was all about paranoia.
Right.
He could transform into anybody.
Now,
So you never knew who was who.
right.
They got rid of that. So they didn't want
But
to
there was
do
a
that.
line in the movie. I think when I talked to you about the book, is there something about mind reading?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
he could be reading our
telepathic.
minds.
Yeah. So that one guy, this one farcical guy that they threw at this guy talked all the time through
The
the.
short guy.
He had the kittens. One guy said, "I think he's got the kittens." He
Yeah.
kept talking. He's the only guy that mentioned, "Oh yeah, I think he's reading our minds." Like, okay.
Well,
the
that's
thing
not
is, you
what he
gotta look
said.
at it.
That's
Why
what he
couldn't it
said.
be?
He said, I
No,
think
he
he's getting-
said,
anything
what
could have
if he
happened.
could read our mind?
What if he could
Oh,
read
what
it?
if
And
he
the
could
next
read our
line
minds?
was, the next line was, he's not going to like what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I mean,
you're
That's the
wrong.
all-American way to handle
So the
it.
Howard Hawks isms are the banter that went back and forth.
Not just that, the spunky women,
Okay.
always strong women in his movies.
Okay.
Again, pro-military and heroism is really important to him. And that's in all his movies. In fact, they even did before he shot the flare gun,
Yeah.
he wetted the spikes like Sergeant York,
Right.
which is a Howard Hawks movie.
Right.
So, but again, I get what both of you are saying, but you got to look at this the way they saw it in 1951.
But how can
where,
you,
where
that's
these
not,
movies were kiddie movies.
It still
But that's
worked
not what
for
this
me.
is-
I
this-
liked it. It was
I'm
very
with you,
fun.
Sean. I still love this movie.
listen, at 10
This
years
was
old,
the first time she had
I
seen
saw
it.
it the first time. The dialogue was just so fascinating. The problem with the film is the editing should have been slower, so the people could. And they did a lot of talking on it.
overlap.
But what they were saying was
Yeah.
awesome. It was like funny.
Okay, so that scene after they kill the thing. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
They electrocute him. And they're all sitting around drinking their coffee, and they convince the couple to get married.
No, well,
Yes,
They were
no,
already on the road.
They were
they
joking.
were, well,
that was a thread throughout the whole movie.
I understand the thread. That's
so
what
that
we-
bothered
They
you.
were
every
kidding
time
another
some
guy
tension
about
was
a girl.
happening with, every time
You
some
were-
tension was
like, I have
happening
a
with,
friend that's a female that will be like one of the guys would be there in the group.
every time they had the thing locked up somewhere, that couple went off to talk about whatever the hell they were going to talk about. I mean,
Hey, without her,
I guess
excuse
the
for
movie would have
drinking.
been 20 minutes without it. I understand. Okay. Because really, we didn't, I know it was John, like Jaws, you said, but
no, the
when-
fact that my point
I know
about that
why.
was-
I know because he didn't like
Like
the way
that
he
scene,
looked.
that scene where they're talking casually, he goes to open up the door and the thing's right there and the
Yeah.
arm comes out.
Right.
That's a
Rips-
great scene.
Rips.
That's a
right.
great scene.
The other one that I love is when they go to the spaceship and they see the ice and they go, "Oh, look down, we got to see how big this is." And they all spread out and they're in this perfect circle. And that Dimitri Tompkins music is playing. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Great score.
If you're in 1951 and you're seeing this, you got to think, "Oh my God, look at that! That is so cool."
These are
I
the
just thought
same
it was so
people.
cool.
These are the same people who believe that there was a Martian invasion because Orson Welles did a radio.
No, that was
Okay.
before.
Okay, I know, but I'm just saying.
Oh, so you're saying people back then were morons?
I'm saying not morons, but a little misinformed.
Do you know that this film is in the Library of Congress as culturally significant? This
Name
movie.
some other movies that are in there too.
Do you know
Name
that
some
in
others.
1950 most of the science fiction movies were crap?
Give me some other movies that are on that list you just mentioned.
Well, Slapshot isn't.
I bet it might be actually.
I think you're wrong about that because that's a classic.
I think it is. By the way, the scene where they're circled,
Yeah.
that scene's in Halloween.
Oh, yeah, they're watching on the TV.
They're watching that on the TV. The
Yeah.
little
So they-
girl's watching this movie on the TV.
They filmed that in
And directed by John Carpenter.
Montana originally.
100 degrees in the sun.
No.
What?
They
That's
filmed it in Montana originally, but there was so much wind they couldn't shoot anything, and it was cold. So instead, they went to the San Fernando Valley in 100-degree weather and filmed that scene there.
Yeah. crazy.
No.
I swear to God, I heard the voice of the Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah,
narrator.
Paul Frees.
Oh, that's who it is?
Yeah, Boris Badenoff. And
I
Pillsbury,
thought so.
and
I
the
thought so.
Pillsbury Doughboy.
Right.
What if they're
Now-
not here to explore? What if they're here to conquer? That's Paul Frees.
Yeah. My favorite thing, we just talked about the scene where he opened the door and the hand comes
Yeah.
out and he crushes the thing. It's when he says to the photographer, "You want to get another picture?" And the guy goes, "No, I'm good. I'm good. Seen enough. Don't
Well,
want
he
to see
didn't say
anymore."
it like that, Ralph.
Why don't
You know
you,
what
John?
I found?
Right, ready? John, scene.
No, don't act, all right?
No,
Edit,
I'm
don't
saying
act.
you act. I'm saying scene.
WoJo, go ahead. Ralph doesn't know what the hell he's talking about now.
I'm the director. I'm saying to
Yeah.
you, scene.
And
Let's
now
go.
there's two of you.
That's right.
Stuck with two of us.
One of the things that I thought was interesting was that when the thing is on fire and he gives, well, first of all, he gives the woman the cushion. Here, this will flames.
That's real. That's
Protect
real.
the light switch.
And he had a little burn. He had a little burn on his hand too.
I know. But what I noticed in that scene was, did you notice who was putting the fire out? The actors.
Oh, yeah.
Like where they set up a
Yeah.
stunt.
That was a really dangerous looking
Yeah.
stunt.
Yeah, that guy the stuntman got torched. Almost
Yeah.
died. He had a
And then
That's a
all
long
the
time to
background
be in that
characters
suit.
were the ones putting him out and putting out the
Yeah.
ground. And I thought, wow,
Yeah, he burned his lungs in that one.
No. He should have burned his lungs because his oxygen tank was 100% oxygen, which normally would burn up. And for some reason, it didn't. It should have burned his lungs.
Oh, there you go.
Because that scene, I mean, that was incredible because it went on for so long, too. And the whole, I'm going, I hope they don't do this again. They're going to burn down the whole place.
Well, he said that. Your hero, what was his name? The captain?
Captain, that's all you need to know.
Because-
Kenneth Tobey,
What else was he in?
Inner Space.
He was in Inner Space.
You don't remember Inner Space? Do you remember Inner Space?
Yeah, that's with
Joe Dante loves this movie
Randy
so much.
Quaid.
He put
Yeah.
Kenneth Tobey in it. So the Martin Short is in the bathroom talking to Tuck Pendleton in his body. Kenneth Tobey's on the other urinal, turns to him and says, "Play with it, son, but don't talk to it."
Ah,
That was Kenneth Tobey.
From this movie.
He was great in this movie.
Yeah.
I like this. You know, everyone talks about the dialogue and all this. I get it, but if you watch Howard Hawks movies, it's lightning fast. Everybody talking over each other because that's what people do in real life. They don't stop and say something. Now it's your turn to respond. That's not how it works.
Listen,
Okay, John, so you've just eliminated every other movie except for movies made by this guy and stuff made by Aaron Sorkin. So
Quentin Tarantino does it. Aaron Sorkin does it. Orson Welles did it in Citizen Kane for probably the first time, and that's considered the greatest film of all time.
Yes,
So if you want
I mean,
the film still sucked.
I know it was overlapping, but was it any good while it was
Howard Hawks
overlapping?
invented it, but he did it on the Ben Hecht Charles MacArthur play.
Front page.
Front page.
Yeah.
Okay, but again, was
And
the
His Girl
dialogue?
Friday.
There was always some the guy. There was a goofy guy that was like the comedy foil in the thing. There was his assistant, the dark hair. I can't. There was so many guys I didn't know. There was a
The
super tall
co-pilot
guy.
And the
Who's the
lieutenant.
super tall guy?
The reporter.
Yeah.
No, the super
no.
tall scientist.
The scientist you're talking about.
No, there was
Decided
one of
to do
his.
military.
Was there one of the scientists? Okay.
The
Yeah.
tall guy.
There were like 6 scientists and 6 Army or
No,
Air
there
Force
was another
guys, right?
scientist that agreed with the
Right. The one guy that really sided with the military guys. You know,
All right,
they've
now-
asked me my opinion and I've given it to them.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Did the scientist, the main scientist, the 20-year-old who's playing an old guy,
Yeah.
did he somehow? How did he make those little pulsating plants or whatever?
They mentioned earlier that they found seeds in the greenhouse on the floor.
Okay,
So we
that's
took
what,
those seeds. Yeah.
that's what
They
he
did
grew.
explain. They didn't show it, Ralph. They should have showed it. Him literally picking up the seeds.
I don't know
That
if you
would
know
have
this
made
about
up-
me, but
That would have had so much more impact than just showing the pulsating pods.
a little
If
backstory
it
wouldn't have been
makes
bad
you
in this
feel any
one.
better, John, I still would have thought it sucked.
Yeah.
Still would not have liked this movie.
Even if they showed that.
And the thing is that
The
The
thing.
thing, I get it.
this
Ding, ding.
movie so much.
Very clever.
I dislike this movie so much that I can't wrap my head around the fact that you three love this movie.
Whoa. Oh, thank you. Okay.
No, not you.
Yeah,
I know
thank
you don't like it.
You're on the left side of the screen.
Classic
I mean,
movie.
it just
Not
doesn't.
only did I see
it
this
doesn't-
film when I was like 8 years old,
Well, yeah.
but I
that-
even had a
that could be
Super
part
8
of it.
version of it.
You
You
saw
what?
I had this on Super 8.
Oh,
What are
geez.
you in the Super 8?
Another movie on Super 8.
It's now
National
listen,
Films
I
version.
I do remember this as a child seeing this movie and being freaked out when he's getting electrocuted. That's a pretty powerful scene.
Right.
Going right, and he literally shrinks in that thing, right?
Well,
Yeah.
there's three different bodies.
I throw that up. Well, you sent me a picture of
Yeah.
the other guy. Oh yeah, hang on.
Billy
What
Curtis, I
like
think his
about
name
this
was.
film too, WoJo, just not to, try to convince
Beat
you.
a dead horse, or kill the thing, or whatever.
Here's the thing: mostly when you deal with science
The thing.
fiction, you're
Oh,
gonna
wow.
see some kind of
Yeah, look at that.
like a science fiction kind of like, oh, the aliens are really nice. Only in that one. Are we still doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on. You're on.
Yeah, we're on.
What, E.T.?
Yeah, E.T. They're
Yeah.
very nice. They're going to be here. They're going to, but
Close Encounters.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those kind of, you think that they're nice things, and
Kenneth Tobey.
this one they were not nice. They
Right.
came here to make their things. They're going to use the plasma to feed their population or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, and I'm not against sci-fi, and I'm certainly not against alien movies. I
Yeah.
love Alien, and I just saw that within the last year. I know I haven't seen that.
And Alien's a great movie.
I have to admit that when he was doing the Geiger counter and he's going 1.8, 1.7, I go that's Cameron
stole
used
it
that in
from
Aliens.
Alien.
Aliens. He used it in Aliens when they're
Mhm.
when they're on the roof, when they're like above
Yeah.
them in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used
no.
it throughout the whole movie.
No, I understand. I can see why these older directors would be all into this guy because, Howard Hawks was famous. He's got a thing like you guys keep bringing up. But but I
Well,
have to
and that's the point of it all. So for example, because you all like it, you like that perhaps this was the first time or one of the first times, because Ralph mentioned Orson Welles also doing it, where the dialogue was overlapping so much. I understand as a piece in the history of cinema why it holds a place, but you always ask me if I like it or not. I didn't like it.
Yeah. You're entitled.
Yeah, you're loud.
I'm the same way. I agree. And when I try to show The Exorcist to like millennials, that movie bores them.
What?
The
'cause
Exorcist
it's
too
bores
slow.
them?
Yes, too slow. It takes forever. Can you imagine? I wish Al and Hassan were here because I can't even imagine. I think Al gave his like
I'll tell
off
you,
camera.
Rose, my wife doesn't watch any of these movies that I watch, and she watches this one and she likes it. I wouldn't say she loved it, but she likes it.
I guess my problem is I got the 82 version in my head. And
Well,
I can't separate that from
not
this
the
one.
same movie.
I mean, he uses the same open, the same logo with
I
the
know.
open. And yes, a lot of the ideas that they use in this film, John Carpenter used in his film. And I know it's not fair to do that, but like I said, I'm not looking at it in my old glasses, my old 1951, or my 10-year-old glasses. I'm looking at all the cinema that I've taken in since then. And I look at this movie and I'm like, I can't believe anybody bought this shit. It's maybe the way people felt about Psycho when they saw Psycho for the first time. That
Yeah.
must have blown their heads off when he,
Oh, I'm
in the
sure it
shower.
scared people to death.
Yeah, but in our eyes, it just doesn't hold up. And this one for me did not hold
I
up.
couldn't disagree more with that statement.
But you're
it doesn't
into
hold up.
classic. It doesn't, for me, it does not hold up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it doesn't.
But that's different. For you, it doesn't hold up. I think it absolutely holds up.
If Hassan was here, we could ask him whether it holds up, but of course we'd know the answer.
Yeah, no, I guarantee you that.
Ba-dum-bum.
I can
By the way-
but I understand classic film. I know that because I push it all the time, right? I can't believe that people don't like a certain movie from 1970 or whatever. I just can't. There's something about it lumbering down the hall, and it's like they could get away from this thing. And
No, see, the problem is you got the 82 version in your head.
No.
And again, if you look at science fiction in the 50s, for the most part, it was made for kids. Now, there's some great science fiction films in the 50s, but most of them were garbage.
I don't disagree.
This was for adults.
I can see why you would be, especially, the guy's tied up with her, feeding him drinks. They're talking about sex the whole time.
They're not.
From the minute he walked in. No, that's what she's talking about.
If it was made today,
Before they got there.
Hey,
Made
Ralph.
today what?
If it was made today, he would have thrown her on the desk.
No, that's not my point. My point is that banter, that sex banter started as soon as he walked in the door and started talking. She started it, actually.
They started it back when he was still in Alaska.
Right, on the plane over. You're going to see the pinup, right?
You slept through most of this movie.
Right.
You're missing an awful.
No, I caught all that. I was just bored.
Doesn't sound like you did.
Debbie, were you going to say something?
Yes, I was. So, when they started out with their romantic, talk. Flirting, but they had already had a relationship earlier in Alaska or whatever.
Well, he never, he said that
he passed out.
Yeah, he passed out.
Because he said to her, you had as many drinks as I did? Yep. You did? Yep.
Well, he was very impressed that she kept up with him.
Yeah. But, but the thing is that, he was all hands.
Next time.
That's why she tied him up.
Remember Mom and Dad? Maybe, Ralph, you don't remember Mom and Dad like I remember my mom and dad. They would say these things. And only years later did I get it. My mom and dad actually had sex.
I just remember the times I'd wake up and the twin beds would be together like that one morning. It's like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, your mom and dad were.
Yeah, but okay, that's
doing stuff like the scientists and the
at least twice.
Commander.
Her character, I'll give Hawks credit. Her character was equal to the men, no question about it.
Yes.
She was giving it as much as she was getting it. She was in there. She wanted to fight. When they were trying to fight, Sean, I know you just rolled your eyes when I just said that.
No. I was thinking about what she was going to be given and getting.
Okay, I knew that. But still, having said that, and I get all the banter. The character I liked the most, seriously, was the Scotty. The reporter.
He was great. And he's
Just the
that
whole
was probably a
time he's
big
trying to
moment
get
for
his-
his career.
Was
Right.
that the reporter?
Yeah.
Yes.
He gave a
to-
great speech at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
He tied it all together in a
Yes.
bow and just,
But
all
he's
the
the
reporters, are all the reporters in the room?
He's the audience, right? He's the
Yes.
audience. You got the
Yeah, he was
scientists, you
great.
got the military. He's us.
Yeah.
Well, he was the neutral guy. So he was
Yeah.
good. I don't know. Hey, did you see George Fenneman? Do you know who George Fenneman is?
Yeah,
He
he's
was
from
Groucho Marx, Ed McMahon on You Bet Your Life.
yeah.
He was in that. He was one of the scientists.
Yeah.
yeah.
Took a week off.
I'm sure well, a lot of those were character actors. Was that the
Yeah.
deal?
Well,
A lot
so
of-
I did some research on this, and he didn't want to use big stars for two reasons.
Money.
One, they couldn't afford them because the budget was so small. But two,
No,
he
really?
thought, hey, that was 1.3 million back then, so
Yeah.
that wasn't cheap. But he also wanted, he didn't want stars that would take away from the realism of the dialogue, of the overlapping dialogue, because that was important to him, much more important than the thing.
Have you guys ever seen Stalag 17?
Yeah, great.
William Holden. There's a lot of that in there.
Oh,
and for
yeah.
some reason, I bought that more than this. Now, we haven't even talked about James Arness,
James.
okay, who played the Thing, right? Who
Maybe
didn't
we
want to
should.
play the Thing. Explain.
No, no.
Someone explain. John?
Not that he didn't want to play it. He hated it when it was done. He won't talk about it. He didn't go to the premiere because he hated it. He thought the makeup looked incredibly stupid. He felt like he didn't really have to do anything in the movie. And by the way,
What did he do in the movie? He didn't. He's right. He didn't do anything.
the tall doctor that kind of sided with the
It was
military.
supposed to be him,
Yeah,
right?
It was, no, it was between the two of them.
I
And you
thought
think
that's-
with
I-
his face, because he's got a very angular
gaunt,
face,
yeah,
Yeah.
gaunt face.
they would have gone with him, but they went with Arnett.
He had like a Rondo Hatton face.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, reality, he's right. That thing didn't do anything.
Well, plus they cut a lot out because of how bad the makeup was.
Oh, so they no close-ups of him.
And they filmed a lot of they filmed a lot of scenes with them.
Yeah.
So what happened was they did the makeup. Hawks goes to look at it, and he hated it. So he said, "Give him a Frankenstein head." That's why he ended up with the square
Yeah, I
head.
was gonna
That
say,
wasn't the original makeup.
Frankenstein.
So once he saw it, he knew he couldn't do a lot of close-ups because it looked kind of ridiculous.
Now,
And again, I think it adds to it. The fact that you almost never see a real good shot of it.
oh, come on.
Imagine if you saw that thing up
don't
close.
retroactively throw
No.
the jaws.
If you
Come
saw
on.
that thing up close,
Yes, they made the right decision
Yeah,
not showing up
absolutely.
close. But I guess a 10-year-old was scared by that lumbering whatever.
well, yeah, but
But when the
I'm talking
scientist walks up and he's talking to him, I'm willing to die. You're smarter than I am. You flew all this way, and he hits him with the thing. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Keep talking. There was something I was going to bring up and I forgot.
Sean, what were you going to say? You're just going to say something.
I liked it. I liked it when I was a kid. I liked it now. But earlier, Ralph, you were asking about the rest of my list. Let me go through my 50s list to tell you the competition.
Well, the top
At
10.
Number 10, I had The Blob, which is a guilty pleasure.
The Steve
Steve
McQueen
McQueen.
blob, that one?
Yeah, the Steve
Okay.
McQueen Blob.
Old.
Number 9, Horror of Dracula, which was released here as Dracula.
Is that a canon or not?
No, a hammer.
Hammer film?
Yeah. Number 8 was a film I really liked as a kid, not so much anymore, War of the Worlds.
Oh,
Okay.
George Pal.
See, I would have put
Number
that. I would've moved that up.
7,
Yeah.
House of Wax, first.
Vincent Price.
Yeah, Vincent Price.
3D.
Now, when
Yeah.
I was a kid, I saw House of Wax. They showed it to us a couple times, and that scared the crap out of me. So it'd be fun for me to watch it as an adult and see if I thought,
Oh,
Yeah, that'd be a good
Movie
test.
We might have to do a special 3D edition.
Yeah.
Number 6, how about this? Did you guys remember this one? Them,
Yep.
Oh,
the
the
ants.
ants.
WoJo?
James Whitmore.
Yeah, that was
The
the best of
Mandibles.
the
a
giant
great
animal movies. And then 20 Million Miles to Earth, great animation.
Ray
shot-
Harryhausen.
And it really had Italian language in it because it
Yeah.
takes place in Italy. 4, Creature from the Black Lagoon. 3, The Thing. 2, Curse of the Demon, by Jacques Tourneur, who did a lot of those
I don't know that movie.
Val Gluten films. And number 1, Invasion of Body Snatchers. 4 versions of that movie. 3 of them are classics.
Yeah. The Nicole Kidman one, not so great.
Yeah.
So explain to me how why is this a classic?
You asking me?
Anybody was willing to answer this question?
Well, I told you, listen, for me, I love science fiction. Okay. I always have. I watch all science fiction.
I'm not asking you. I know you said if it comes on cable, you watch it. Why is this considered a classic?
Because it's one of the, it's one of the first first movies to take a serious look at sci-fi as opposed to kiddie, right? It was done by a director who doesn't do sci-fi. So it was done in a very different way than most science fiction movies were done at the time.
And a writer who didn't do sci-fi.
A great writer based on a great story. And again, it's a movie that, like Citizen Kane, like a lot of these movies, if it comes on, I'm always going to watch it. To me, that's a classic movie. Jaws is a classic movie. Every time it comes on, I watch it. This movie, I do the same thing. And I never say, well, maybe that worked in 1951. It doesn't work now. I don't look at it that way. I just look at it as I like the movie.
Yeah, but based on Sean's list, I would say I would look at Invasion of the Body Snatchers and go, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Because that was saying something politically. I know this one was too.
But this was too.
I know it was too, but in a goofy, ham-fisted way.
Listen,
hey,
what'd you say,
Captain?
WoJo?
Hey, Cap, want some coffee? And hey, you gonna marry that girl? Invasion of the Body Snatchers was kind of laid in there's some reality there, even though.
Did you like Forbidden Planet?
With Leslie Nielsen? That one?
Yeah. The Tempest.
Not sure.
Hmm.
So I mean, we throw classic around, and I don't think I think I understand why this is considered a classic based on what you're saying, Howard Hawks, the whole thing, but I would not look back and go,
oh, thank God most critics don't agree with you.
Well, I know, but John Carpenter obviously
eye monsters or something.
John Carpenter disagrees with
classic adult sci-fi films that year. This and
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
What's the other one? It came, the one with Michael Rennie.
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah, Day the Earth Stood Still. Yeah. But you see, Day the Earth Stood Still. I'm just gonna say one thing about my list. I like that film. I don't find it as entertaining as this one. And it didn't make my list because I consider that straight science fiction in my list of horror films. It didn't have a monster.
Oh, yeah.
So.
What is it? What makes this enter? What is the element that you go, this is the element in this movie that did it for me? Was it the horror part? Was it the... Okay.
It is the idea, it's classic, spooky, scary movie, or out...
Like The Haunting.
Because of, why you go to a scary movie to begin with. A lot of times when you're younger and you're going to like a scary movie, the guys and the gals, when they're on a date, you go to the movie and then usually you get scared and you get close to each other. That's typical of that's classic scary movie.
I took my high school girlfriend to Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
That's where I took my high school girlfriend too. First date, Dawn of the Dead.
That worked.
Excuse behind the getting close,
Yeah.
Right.
So that's to me classic. And to add the excitement of the tension between the girl and the guy, especially when she tied him up, I said, "What?"
Little romantic subplot. Little romantic subplot.
Little S&M subplot, not romantic.
Not just only that, there was a power. There's always, between men. There's always a power struggle.
Part of it is, I know.
Not with us anymore. You won.
These old movies have this. It's like the silent movie thing where everything is ramped up. Like, hey, it's all this like I can't explain it. Like when I see a naturalistic movie now. I know I shouldn't compare, but the fact is that was all theatrical. It's very theatrical.
Okay.
The way she's relating to the guy was, it's like I can't buy it now. I can't do it.
What is a naturalistic movie today? I haven't seen one in the theater in years. Adventures.
Conversationally, Reservoir Dogs was the conversation going on.
When was that? 90s?
92? Yeah, I don't know. You're asking me now? Are you saying there's no classics now? That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is I don't see naturalistic films in the theaters.
Well, there's no Alan. Not Alan. What's Alan?
Alan Parker?
No. Altman.
That's a long time.
Altman. Nashville. Who directed Nashville?
Altman.
Yeah.
He's dead even.
I know, but that was naturalistic.
Yeah, I think the
last
last
overlapping MASH was overlapping
MASH
dialogue
too.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just my opinion. That's why we do
I
this.
know. What I'm just saying is that they
As a
don't.
Gen Xer, I'm just saying that that's my
Well,
opinion.
as a millennial, I say my people don't respond to that.
That's right.
As a zygote, I like to say I still
Zygote.
hate this movie.
Right. Well, I don't know, John.
Since our younger people are gone, we all get to be younger today.
Is there any more defense of the movie you'd like to throw out before
I
we
let the movie
before we
stand
give
on
our
its own.
ratings?
Enjoy the film.
I let that
All I
movie
could
stand
say,
on its
you know,
own.
it goes it on a DNA level. I just find the film very enjoyable. You know, it's fast moving. I like that a lot. I think it just snaps along, which is another.
See, I missed that. I did not see it as fast moving. I really didn't. I
Length.
was dragging.
Yeah,
Really?
like the monster walking in the hall at the end.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
that
so
entire
threatening.
scene was probably
He's
only
so
2 minutes
he's so
long.
scary. That's so scary. It's so. Oh, come on. I know. I'm a
That
bad
entire
person.
scene was probably only 2 minutes long.
Well, they
And
had to
it
get him.
felt like 3
You see,
years.
you see the scene where you see how they got him on the wooden pad. The guy threw the axe down the street and he jumped up.
I
Okay.
thought it was such a clever.
And we haven't talked that he was a giant carrot.
Yeah, I thought
That's
that
what
was
Scotty called him. Scotty called him. that.
Well, the scientists explained how his insides work, and Scotty said,
Vegetation.
"Sounds like a carrot." And he goes, "Exactly. He is a
So
carrot."
it's a big walking carrot. That's close
It's
to
a big
correct.
cucumber, if you ask me.
I think this is a good. If you're gonna watch the new thing, the 1982 thing,
Yeah,
I think this is a good one to watch first, actually,
yeah.
so you can see where Carpenter picked up some of the stuff he played with. I don't know, is Carpenter's based on the book or more this movie?
No, it's based more on the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because originally in this movie, he was supposed to be a shapeshifter,
Yeah.
but they had no money, so they couldn't do it.
I was going to
So
say, there's no way they could have.
no. So they made him a carrot.
Like that.
Yeah.
He's a carrot. They go
I
from
think it just-
shape-shifting to carrot.
It just added to it.
Yeah, of course it did.
I think they built tension without almost never showing the thing. That to me is, they kept talking about it, but you never really saw it. So when he did show up, listen.
Well, and the thing is, the other thing he peppered in is Scotty. There was a lot of dialogue that Scotty was doing that was based on reality.
Right.
Like when he's talking about he was at the
execution.
the execution
Yeah.
for somebody, and right before he's going to give whatever the punchline is, the thing breaks through.
Right.
Every time Scotty was ready to say something that's based in reality, the thing would kind of break through.
Right.
So it's like the movie was about Scotty and the monster, if you really want to break it down.
No.
Because I didn't care about the captain. He's like, yeah, that was so art. He's such a cliche. Scotty at least seemed like he was a real human being in the middle of this thing. Keep in
Well,
mind,
again, from an acting perspective, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
you're probably right.
Okay.
You're probably right.
All right.
Thank God I'm not an actor. That's all
But
I'm
talk
saying.
more about the editing. That's what I want to hear about from you.
A tad slow.
Yeah, a tad slow. Imagine if they put in all that footage they cut out.
I would have liked to have seen the guys.
Oh, because you got to see everything. Because John Carpenter had legs coming out of people's heads, so you got to see everything.
Now that is a classic.
You don't need to see everything to get your point
Okay,
across.
that
You really
movie's a
have to
classic.
miss.
We can.
Here's the thing.
Yes,
I
The
agree
thing.
with you, John.
He said thing again.
Okay.
you've said it 3 times.
I agree with you in that I like when thrillers, horror, whatever, suspense builds and you don't see it. The problem was when you did. It was a bit of a letdown. No, I'm serious.
No, I
Debbie felt the
there are
same way
movies-
too when we
I
were
get it.
dating.
I get that.
Never.
I
They
get that.
never show you
I get that.
what the monster, the witch,
Right.
this. They never show you what it was. And there have been movies that have scared the hell out of me
Right.
that have been that way. But in this one, I was disappointed. The one scene in the beginning where they slam the monster's hand off.
Yeah.
They have it. They should have. I from my perspective, okay. They weren't really showing you the hand. I know it was because they had a shitty budget. Oh, they had a non-existent budget. Well, I don't know if we.
Hey, no one's watching. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
They've already tuned out. They
The way
were watching.
9 minutes.
The way they crowded the people all around it, it took so much away from it because
That's why Scotty couldn't get it.
played of the backs of people.
Right. That's why Scotty couldn't get a picture.
Because the
They're all in
one
the way.
arm had to go up through the table to make it move. That's why.
But what I'm saying
Now that
is,
was the one scene where that hand got,
Yeah.
and he pulls his hand away, like pieces of his hand were ripping off. That was pretty cool.
That just opening the door was really a good surprise because usually you build up a suspense
Right.
before something like that. And instead, I mean, Debbie jumped. And, you know, you just open the door and he's just standing there. That was a
Right.
good shot.
Mhm.
But then he closed the door and he went and had sex with the girl right after that.
Would
Ralph,
you?
you're misleading the viewers and the
No, I'm just-
listeners. That did not
Wow,
happen.
that's what I
Can she
saw.
just say
Can I
one
just say
thing?
this
Of
then?
course.
Okay, so you think the editing was too slow?
No, I was making a joke. I didn't focus on I never focus on the editing.
Oh well, I think the editing was too fast on the dialogue, and I think if they would have slowed it down, people would have understood because
hear a
you
little more.
really had to pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah, then it would have been a 7-hour movie. The amount of talking they were doing,
Yeah.
if I had to wait for, no, I get what you're saying, because there was a lot lost with the back and
Yeah.
forth.
Very
But
much.
I think it,
Like
honestly,
reality.
I think it was useless information.
Oh, they were
in my humble opinion.
They were. Sean,
I know. It's like, hey, Cap, when are you gonna
She's
sleep with
pushing me
her?
forward.
Hey, Cap, when you get married? Cap, you're a hero.
First of
Yeah,
all,
you're the
that's a
best.
terrible interpretation
Wow,
of the
wow, let me
dialogue.
here.
That is
Scene,
a
scene.
horrible. Hey,
Wait,
Cap.
I'm gonna do-
Hey, Cap. When are we gonna go to the girl?
Wait,
No
I'm
one
gonna do
talks
scene.
like that.
Ready? Scene.
Nobody.
Scene. Hey, anybody want some coffee? I want somebody. The guy's got the
Hey,
kittens back
Cap.
there. He doesn't know what to do. He put a warm blanket on the thing. And nothing. Hey. Scene.
WoJo, you want some coffee?
Ah.
All right.
No.
So WoJo, the way we do ratings now is no more yellow barrels. We get rid of the yellow barrels because we're trying to keep on brand.
And we could never figure them out either. 'Cause whether we had
Too many half
whether it was
barrels.
5 barrels, 4
Right,
barrels,
ridiculous.
10 barrels.
So
and
now
whether
it's
we use fractions.
Yippee-Ki-Yay or Yippee-Ki-Nay. Okay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Oh, she jumped right in.
Oh, I didn't see that coming, WoJo.
Oh, that's a shock. John?
Yippee, yippee, yippee,
Wow,
ki-yay.
3 yippies. Wow. Sean, of course.
Yippee-Ki-Yay, yay, yay.
Yay.
Yeah, Yippee-Ki-Nay. This is the problem with doing it at the end. We already know
Yeah,
what our answer
it's
is.
not too hard to figure out where we all stand at this
I understand why it's considered a classic. Howard Hawks, overlapping dialogue, paranoia in the 50s. People who watch movies in the 50s,
adult
didn't have much
sci-fi,
entertainment to deal with.
adult
Nice
sci-fi.
photography.
adult sci-fi, but still, if you watch it now, it doesn't
Yeah.
hold up.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It
hold up.
reminds, well,
Neither
it
does Orson-
reminds
neither
me.
does Citizen Kane. It just doesn't work for me.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Oh, then you're an idiot.
You know,
Consider
Mark
what-
Twain had a great quote, but it was referring to books and it was referring to classics. And it said, classics are books that men praise but never read.
Boom. Except I saw this.
I don't
movie
think
when
that
I was
applies
10.
to us because we've seen the movie and we think
We've
it's a
seen
classic.
it,
we
but
never
it
read.
doesn't
Oh, but we
mean-
didn't really see it. Is that what you're saying, WoJo? No,
That's
I
what I'm
got you. You know what?
saying.
I'm going to watch it again through your guys' eyes.
I think you should.
Why is he walking so slow down that hallway?
Well, watch.
Exactly.
Do me a favor. Watch John Carpenter's first, then watch this one.
That movie grossed me out.
Oh my God.
I've
what a-
seen the whole thing once, and it grossed me out.
You know how? Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you what I did like. I'll tell you what I liked about that.
How
movie
can I
better
even-
than this movie? The ending
Yes, we know.
was fantastic.
Don't say it. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen the thing.
Kurt
that-
Russell gets hit by that bus and gets flattened out.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
You
I don't know how
know,
they did it. But it
I
was-
think Kirk reached maximum Russellness in that movie.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Was that
he
before
was-
Escape
listen.
from New York?
This
Yeah,
was
no,
the same.
This was after that.
Because that
Yeah.
was pretty.
Yeah. It was Halloween, Escape
Bliskin.
from New York. Then I think the thing.
Well,
All right.
I appreciate you guys at least watching it. That
Listen.
I love
There's
that.
some-
for
Thank
picking it.
you. Thank
There
you.
are some movies, black and whites, that I've watched that I've enjoyed, like the one we did with Debbie, The Blue Angel. Remember The Blue
Oh,
Angel?
great movie.
Love that movie.
So realistic.
I understand your point, but I couldn't tell.
Who's
I couldn't
picking the
tell this
movie
one.
next time?
I think WoJo. Do you want to pick the movie next time, WoJo?
Do I have to do it right now?
Nope.
No.
But are you going to be? If you're not here next week, we'll pick somebody else. But think about it, okay?
WoJo, if
Okay.
I've learned anything, some of the people on this thing need at least 5 days.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
please give them at least 5 days.
Yeah,
right?
you got to let them. We got to know before Sunday because people
I
go
will.
crazy trying to find.
And use
Um,
that app so that we know where we can find it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
do that. And remember, we're on YouTube now, so if anybody wants to subscribe. If you have
Ring the bell too. If you
ring the
get
bell.
notifications.
If you want to leave us a mess, what do you call it? Leave a message or whatever, or
Comment.
A
comment.
Yeah.
If there's a movie you'd like to see, maybe we'll even invite you to review with us.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't
We
want to
always
hang
have
out with this?
absences.
Who wouldn't want to hang out with this crew? I don't know.
With this riveting dialogue.
This
What do
is
you think?
amazing. So
Ralph's acting tips. I mean, it's
I
gonna be
think
awesome. You're gonna love it.
We
Team.
spend every single one.
hey, anybody want some coffee? Here, have some coffee.
Hey,
Debbie.
Cap. Hey,
I need
Cap.
some coffee, Debbie. Debbie,
Hey,
tie
give
me
some
up.
coffee.
We spend
Tie me
every
up. I need some coffee.
I guarantee Debbie's going to be tying me up tonight.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true,
I
WoJo.
bet.
That is true.
I mean, you should have been there when they did Slapshot, which I also personally hated and I know you adore.
Oh,
But
adore.
now-
Oh,
Ralph tried everything. But WoJo, what about this? And WoJo, what about that? And I said, Ralph, I fell asleep during it and I had to get up. And I did.
you fell asleep during Slapshot?
Yes.
Wow.
I didn't like.
WoJo, I am dying to know what movie you're picking.
Oh God.
I am dying. Is it My Dinner with Andre? I've been wanting to see that.
That's a classic.
Oh, overlapping
I
dialogue.
did a parody of that in college.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you right now, their food would have gotten cold. Okay, I'm telling you.
All right.
All
This
right.
could go on
bye.
forever, but we lose our YouTube viewers stop after 9 minutes, so this doesn't
So
really
it doesn't matter what we say. Hey, watch for the skies, you guys.
All right, guys, watch the flight. Watch the sky. Some carrot might come down. You don't know.
You're the
Bye.
spider.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Nice
See you next
job.
week.